driving to Sacramento to be in a landmark seminar, which is called Excellence. It doesn't even really matter what it's called because I just like being in the programs. And it's been a while since I've been involved with Landmark at all, actually. After having done a lot of programs and been on staff and stuff, I always realize how good the work is for me and how important it is for me to be in community with other people doing Landmark, because I just need, there's a shared language there and there's a community, and I really hunger for the distinctions of Landmark because they are so valuable to me and mean so much. And being around other people who feel the same way, there's nothing like it. I've had conversations with somebody there who was also a cancer survivor, and we just got so related and so connected. And it's really rare to have that with somebody on the phone in customer service. You have to really penetrate that stranger veil or whatever it is that keeps us thinking and feeling like we're separate. But I've been struggling the last few days. I think I've been struggling longer than that, but it's just I'm feeling it a lot the last few days because I've been dealing with something kind of hard and heavy, and just like really getting underneath some just like habits and tendencies and addictions, really. I think everyone's addicted to something, and some people's addictions are very apparent and other people's addictions are tolerated, or they're kept quiet, they're hidden, they're not as obvious. Like, you can see somebody who's overweight and who knows what that could be due to something else, but it could also be to an addiction that they have with what they consume, what they eat. And so it's more obvious. But somebody who's addicted to feeling bad, or addicted to drama, or addicted to working, those things are very tolerated in a sense, and I don't even know if people call them addiction, but I don't even know what to call, like, what is the addiction that I'm dealing with. It's definitely a struggle around relationship stuff. It's deeper than that, but that's a big piece of it, and just realizing where I get attracted and what feels comfortable. And basically with my EMDR therapist, what we're getting underneath is what love really means, because I question that. I feel sometimes like I've consumed too many things, too many ideas, too many teachings, too many thises and that's, because I feel like there's a lot in there, and I can't just simply say, like, I used to say love was if you show up, like somebody ends up in the hospital and you just drop what you're doing and you go. You would be there for somebody no matter what. And then my therapist was like, well, yeah, but that could also just be a friendship love. And so she was saying something along the lines of you put them first. And I was like, okay, well, that I don't agree with. You don't always put them first. There are no absolutes as well. So the point is that I'm really just trying to understand, because I think that a lot of love, I've also encountered this idea that most relationships are transactional. They're conditional. And then, like, if somebody is giving, they're going to stop giving if they stop getting. And so when we become parents, I think that's pretty much one of the only times, or one of the first times, that we recognize unconditional love. Like, you have this child who barfs on you and yells at you, screams, and is crying, doesn't give you anything, doesn't even give you sympathy for many years. There's just so much, and yet we would do anything for our kids. They are the most important person in our world, and to me that's unconditional love. You show up for them even when they find themselves doing deplorable things that you would never tolerate from anybody else. So I feel clear about unconditional love, and then I see people and I'm like, they treat each other so badly, and that they're in relationship, and I think, like, do you love each other? You'd say that you love each other, and you're like just being so disrespectful and just talking so much trash and devaluing somebody. I don't know. To me, it's like, really, that's love. So I feel like I'm just trying to get inside of it, because relationship that I'm in a relationship. Well, I mean, that's the thing. I'm actually not. I'm not in a relationship. I have a partner of somebody that I live with who, I have to check the map here. We've been split up for a while, yet we still live together, and we have a lot of affinity for one another, and a good sense of humor together. And he was the absolute saint that was with me in the first, going through all of the cancer stuff that I went through. And I told him, "Hey, you could leave, and I wouldn't blame you at all. I might do that, although I probably wouldn't, but you never know what you would do until you're faced with it." And he didn't. He stayed just right by my side. And in some ways, that made us close. But in other ways, I think it made us be together for reasons that might not have had us be together otherwise. We just had this whole veil and filter of cancer. So I question whether or not we would have actually been together. Yet he's a really, really good person and a really great guy. So you're just like, okay, well, why the hell would you not be with this person? But it's traffic. Just have to stay really present and aware to what's going on here. I think a lot of people confuse love for addiction, and I know addiction's a strong word, but they think they love somebody that they're attracted to and just attracted to physically. And I don't necessarily think that that's what love is. It's like being willing to work something out with somebody because you want to be with them and because they mean so much to you. Sometimes people treat us poorly, and yet we still want to show up for them, or we still want to do for them. And it's like, well, what is that? How does that work? Why would we want to keep showing up for somebody who's not valuing you, or not respecting you, or not putting you high as a high priority? I mean, what is that? To me, that's some sort of healthy condition, attraction, addiction, whatever you want to call that, patterning that a person has or has adopted. So anyway, it's a bit philosophical. It's kind of practical, but it's a little bit philosophical as well. And I'm just so curious, how this evening and how this seminar is going to go for me, because the whole thing is about excellence. I think it's excellence in the zone, and I don't even know what I'm trying to be excellent about. I guess it's kind of my health. My health is definitely up for me right now, because I am so uncomfortable in my body, crazy. I'm just uncomfortable. I don't even know how I am where I am. Well, I do know that's not true. I've just I went through so many things. I got off track with what my exercise was, and I'm eating fine. I'm not eating amazing, but I'm eating okay. I still eat organic, fresh food in that way, but it's not like I cook every single meal at home and only eat I'm not eating vegetables out of the garden 3 meals a day and stuff like that. But it's just hard for me. I put my clothes on and I'm just oh man, my body is not the same. I don't look the same. And I've definitely bitched about this stuff before. I'm trying to be kind to myself. The last doctor I saw, my medical oncologist at Stanford, she's so great. She's just be gentle. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself. You've been through a lot. And it's that's the stuff I would tell somebody else, and I don't want to hear that. I don't want to believe that. I'm ready to have my life back, and it's really hard feeling like all I can do is carry on with one foot in front of the other and be where I am and not try to be where I was. So this is what I'm looking at in my life. So I guess I'm wanting excellence with my health. That's probably number one. I'm always wanting excellence in relationships. relationship, and I mean in all my relationship and friendships. I want excellence in my life as a parent. I want to be an excellent mother to my daughter, and for the most part, I think I am. But there's always places, and not only that, it's a moving target because they're growing. You know, she's growing up, so she's not 6, she's 11, and she's not 3. And so what I used to do with her and for her at those ages, she's at a different age, so I have to keep adjusting. And she's my most important relationship, my relationship with my daughter. So I definitely continually strive for excellence with her. And I think I want excellence with my business, my resale business. It's hard to say because it's such a weird thing. I just feel like I can't really go full throttle with it because I have to pay attention to my health, and I have to make sure that I don't make too much money doing it. Otherwise, it could compromise the disability that I get. And I don't want to do that. I need that. There's no way I could get by without that. So it's a little bit of a pickle situation to be in. But because I still have 2 more surgeries, so I need to get through that. So anyway, I don't know. I felt inspired to share some of the struggle because there's so much of the triumph and this positive thinking mentality, and just like a lot of people's highlight reels out there. And I think it's just important to reflect all of it because we're human. There's a lot we have a lot to deal with. I think about that quote, the Buddha saying all life is suffering, and you could look at that and think oh, that's such a negative, pessimistic viewpoint or something, and without giving judgment to it, which I guess saying that life is suffering is a judgment in and of itself, but I think that to me it's kind of inspiring to consider that all life is suffering because it just it requires some rigor, it requires some awareness, it requires a constant being willing to confront our lives. Nobody is immune from somebody dying, somebody getting sick, something getting taken from them that they didn't want to lose. I mean, eventually we all get faced with that. And if that's not a suffering, I don't know what is. So having that viewpoint where it's just okay, well, if that's the case, and then also to look at life all life is suffering, then there's not this expectation that we should be winning all the time. Who said we should be winning all the time? Who said things should be easy and things should be smooth? I mean, who said that? There's no rule book that said that's how life should go. So if we don't have that expectation, then we can tussle with life a little better. We can have a little bit of oomph and energy and initiative and some gumption to take life on instead of feeling so victimized by life. So it's interesting to think about words and language and how we interpret and how we look at stuff. And I've always liked that. I like that phrase, all of life is suffering, because it's humbling as well. It's humbling to realize that even though this person driving in the car next to me might look like they've got their whole life together and might look like they have a perfect life. Well, they don't. Nobody does. Everyone's dealing with something at some point, I mean, maybe not. Even children are. Children can't, they eat 3 cookies and they want 8 and they don't get 8 cookies and they're suffering, That's a suffering for that kid. It's we're just suffering from the moment we're born. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm inspired by that, or it doesn't feel pessimistic or morose to me. I don't know if that does to anybody that is listening, but yeah.